What about this situation? See, unfortunately I can't do this with clickers, but what about this situation? So what we're going to have here is, so we're going to reverse the last one. We're going to have Confederate, Confederate, subject. So I've got two Confederates in my subject, and so Confederate, Confederate, good. And at some point in the experiment, this Confederate says, I'm done, I'm out. They stop. So 115 volts, whatever. Then at some point, this person stops. What's our subject going to do?
Stop.
Why?
Everyone else stopped.
Okay,
It's
so,
still conformity.
well, there's something going on here, so it's worth it. It's still conforming to a certain degree. You're saying they're just conforming to this. But why are they violent? Why do you predict they're going to stop? Why do you think they're going to go against authority? Well, think about the normal situation. In the regular experiment, so you have the experimenter right here. In the regular experiment, who is defining the situation?
The authority.
The authority figure. What happens when these two rebel?
I guess maybe the subject wants to be more conforming and obey the authority figure because it looks better.
Oh, so you would predict they would continue on?
That's not a prediction. I mean, I don't know.
Oh, so you got two
But
predictions.
It's like one.
They'll either stop or continue.
One, I want to think that it'll conform to the other two people who left. But at the same time, when he sees other two people leaving, he's like, well, now it's up to me. I'm the last one left. I'm going to say and do it.
So, well, you got to make one prediction or the other.
I'll stick with my last one. Stay and do it.
So you predict they're going to stay. Anyone agree with Emily? They're going to stay and do it? So we need clickers. That's a great prediction, though. I mean, it's not. Let's see. Do we know any data so far that bears on this question? Emily's made a very clear, testable prediction. Do we know any data that we learned this semester that plays in on this? This would be a great test question. What happened in ASH when you got one person disagreeing from the group?
The conformity.
Conformity dropped because it allowed the person to go.
They wouldn't be really singled out anymore.
They're not singled out anymore. So now we have two predictions. Emily's prediction, very solid, very good, is this person's going to feel a greater weight, right? Because now the entire experiment rests upon my shoulders. Or this person is going to say, well, these people are defining this as an inappropriate experiment. I'm going to agree with them. So we got to know which way it's going to go. Unfortunately, I can't do this with clickers today. To go old school. Anyone want to defend? Anyone want to argue that the person's going to stop? I'll wait till someone wants to take that point.
I mean, I think they'll stop, but I don't know.
Right? Okay, so y'all battle it out. Emily says he's going to continue, or the subject's going to continue. You said they're going to stop. What arguments are you going to bring on your side?
Authority figure, man. Authority. I want to impress this guy in a white lab coat sitting around me.
Well, technically, we're gray with them.
Gray.
And I only mentioned that because they were trying very hard not to go. They actually did that deliberately. But say the point is still the same.
Yeah.
So I want to impress the person with the gray lab coat. What do you say, Emily?
Well, like in the other study, the conformity or the obedience went down after that. Other people would say, okay, I'm not going to conform to the rest of the people. So I think they will stop, but it kind of sort of diffuses the responsibility of them as well. Then you're like, okay, well, other people stop too, and they feel uncomfortable about it anyway. As you can kind of see, even the guy that went all the way obviously felt uncomfortable about it, and if they see other people that are taking the discomfort to say, okay, I'm going to stop, then they say, okay, well, it is okay for me to stop.
It's okay for me to stop.
And they agree with me, so now I feel better about my decision.
And the other people agree with me, so if the experiment fails, it's not just me. Do you have a rejoinder?
I went to this research experiment to do it, so I'm going to follow through with it because this guy in a gray lab coat wants me to do it.
All right, so okay, we're gonna good. We have so a priori we can predict both, and we're gonna see what's gonna happen here. What actually happened is, so here's the normal individual ordering. That's my yellow line. When the normal individual orders, this is what amazes me. People get started, but as soon as Mr. Wallace says anything, massive drop off. But nonetheless, 20% of the people, because they walked into a room where a normal everyday person was saying, do this, they still continued to shop. The Confederates defecting is the lowest condition, which is an awesome test question. If there was a test question, which got the highest obedience and which got the lowest obedience? So the highest obedience was gotten in what condition? We just saw it.
When they're not touching, when they're away from the subject.
They're always, no, that's not the highest. That's all their guesses. What's the highest? Unless you're trying to,
When they can defer it to another person.
when they can defer to another person. So that's the highest level of obedience. And the lowest level is when they were with others who defected. That was that's the highest level that people continued all the way till the end. We got some where they stopped completely down to 0, but the highest level where the lowest level where people continued to the end was the Confederates defecting. So, now the technical low, if the question was just worded the lowest level, it would be when the authority figures had stopped. But, so we can actually think of a good way to test this. If I were to say, put the following in order. Authority figure says stop. Confederates defect. And not directly shock. That'd be a good way to phrase it. Right? If I were to say, put the following in order in terms of most to least obedience. It would be, this is the most obedience, second. Let's go with that. Give us some other data. In this one, we have 2 experimenters, right? So they're both there, and the way they did it was experimenter A would go, hi, nice meeting you. Experimenter B would say the same thing. One would give some of the instructions. And in this experiment, the people start conflicting with each other. So the 2 experimenters conflict. What's the subject going to do? So at 150 volts, experimenter B says we need to stop. Experimenter A says no, we need to keep going.
I think it'll drop down to people that go all the way.
So it'll drop down to 0, or will it
Or
just drop down?
Drop. Well, I guess drop.
Okay, think about the argument you made for the previous one, right? Where I have diffusion of responsibility, I want to stop anyway. What can I do at this point? Experimenter B says stop.
You have a way out.
I have a way out. So we're going to see how that plays out. And here we have conflicting authorities. They're both equal experimenters, but this one goes and sits in Mr. Wallace's chair. Do we predict the same results?
Didn't we talk about this?
Mm-hmm. But I never showed you the results. So yeah, good memory, good memory. So, okay, but we can ask the question this way. Do you predict the same results are going to happen? Because at about 150 volts, this experimenter is going to say stop.
Are they, it's going to be lower still because then you have that conflict of authority, right?
So we got conflict of authority.
So,
One's in another room though.
One's in the other room, but he's still an experimenter. He's still an authority figure. He's just not. Yes. Well, the thing is, do you lose any authority going to sit in the experimenter chair?
I guess so.
I'm sorry, do you lose any authority going to sit in the learner chair? Right, so your manager at work isn't wearing their manager shirt. That's one way you can. All right, so let's see. Here's your data. Here's our baseline. Here's we have conflicting authorities, and actually it didn't immediately drop to 0. So it didn't drop as precipitous as the previous one, but it dropped pretty fast. The authorities start conflicting with each other, because, well, think about it, what can I do? I don't want to shock this person. What can I do when I have conflicting authorities?
Use the one that better suits you.
I can use the one that better suits me, right? You know. Now, if I wanted to go all the way to the end, I could basically go, this guy told me to. Here we have the conflicting authorities with one as victim. What's peculiar about that data?
You do lose authority once you become the learner.
You do lose the authority. And this is why you think, why would judges wear robes to make sure they know they're the judge, and all of those situations is people respond to these things. It's amazing that you basically get the same amount of obedience. This is an interesting data set. In this one, the experimenter was ordering them to do it by phone, and you get a lot less obedience. And actually, people lied more.
Is that because of like the invisibility sort of factor?
Yeah, they could say, I shocked them.
Or just say like the person doesn't really see them and know who they are really, so it's kind of like the anonymously.
Well, in this one, they showed up, and if I remember correctly, they started the experiment, and the experimenter said, I got a telephone call. So they started, and then he left. So, if I remember. So they knew, so it wasn't technically invisible, but he was not there. We couldn't see whether or not I was really following. So think about this, I mean, as a practical matter, think about this with online testing. You're like, So I can say, or any of your professors can say, don't use your textbook, don't use your notes, don't use your friend, don't use the internet. But as a practical matter, what do we suspect happens?
Use use Google.
Yeah, like I can put in the notes anything. I can put in the syllabus. You know, if you cheat, I shall, kill you. That'd be awesome. You shall die. But there's really nothing I can do. This would be a good test question. If I wanted to get greater obedience to not cheating, because your facial expression made me realize what would be a better way to do it. So I could put, right, we saw the study earlier, the Friedman study. Right, I could put in the syllabus, if you're caught cheating, you will get expelled from UAB. Versus, what else could I put in the syllabus to try and get higher obedience? From Friedman.
What's the thing about the internal versus the external?
It's internal versus external, but it's also the strength of the external versus internal.
Also, use the speculation if you're using another system or something to monitor that.
So I could say that I'm using another system, right?
No, you don't have to say it. That's my justification. Because I would think, well, how is he going to find out? But the mere fact that you wrote it means that evidently you're pretty sure about it.
But I'm going to add something to my syllabus. I want to add something to my syllabus to try to discourage cheating. So what? Yeah.
But cheating is wrong, and if you do it, you're a very bad boy.
Yeah, or I might just say, it is bad to cheat. It is bad to cheat on these kinds of things. So it's an empirical question if that would actually lower cheating rates. Or if I put before each quiz, it is bad to cheat on quizzes. It's an empirical question, but so instead of putting I will kill you, which you're like, well, how is he going to know?
No, but if you were at I think it's to the different degree of quality of what you put in. You put in before every quiz cheating is bad. I mean, I can always rationalize that. But if you put I will kill you.
Or what if I put
But if you were to put if you cheat you will be expelled, that's I think pretty solid. So, because then I would make up my own rationalization of how is it that he can come up with such a thing. There has to be an additional factor you're using.
I mean, how would I catch you?
I know, but just mentally, my justification would be that for someone to write that, that's,
And then
they know what they're talking about. They evidently have something up their sleeve.
Okay, so this is a good empirical question. I'm gonna do extra credit. I'll do extra credit for this one, because a lot of universities are moving to online quizzing. How do you lower cheating rates online? So we now have an empirical question, right? We have put a warning that if you cheat, you'll fail or get expelled.
Isn't that what time limits are supposed to be applied? Isn't that the way they do it?
I think the time limits are unusually generous for online quizzes.
They were long.
Yeah.
What was it just say? One of my teachers had this program, and it was on the internet. And if you got on any other screen besides your thing, it would shut the test off. So like you could not like look at your notes or.
Well, we have that
You
here.
could still use your book, but.
Well, we have like
You can also
responders
use two
browser.
separate
Yeah, you can use another computer
Yeah.
or your phone.
Or you
But
could use
it
your
was probably less
iPhone.
though. I still think it was probably less than, because some
We
of
just
us
find ways
didn't
to
have
help
two
it.
computers, so.
No,
it's
no, no,
probably
so I
less
agree,
than-
like, we could use Respondus browser or something that blocked down your computer, but, you know, any iPhone has, you know, Google on it.
Well, I don't have an iPhone. I don't have any of this.
Or two people
So-
take
Go to
the
the
test.
public library.
I mean, we randomized the question,